All right, welcome back to Studio 62, and we are live back on Patrick's Place. We took a break just now and got refreshed, etc. And we're heading into the mid part of the results show, mid part of the race, folks, because we have two seats that have been declared since I last left you. Two seats have been declared. The People's National Party, they have won the Manchester Southern seat with Peter Bunting, and the Jamaica Labour Party, they have won the St. Elizabeth Northwestern seat through Andre Morris. So two seats have been declared. And let's see, Clarendon North Central, we're seeing 55 of 104 boxes. And Robert Morgan is leading Auge Dixon of the PNP, 2,709 votes to 2,245. So Robert Morgan of the JLP is leading Auge Dixon. But we're going to be speaking now with Neville Hibbert from Jamaica. He studied international relations at the University of the West Indies and is a student, an astute student of Jamaica's political landscape. We're going to be getting his thoughts on what he's seeing in the election so far, the results that have been coming in St. Catherine East to Central. Neville Alanda Terrelong is leading Raymond Price, 80 of 98 boxes, 5,598 votes to 4,198. Seems to be an uphill task at this point, with just about 18 boxes left for Raymond Price to overhaul Alanda Terrelong. Good evening, Neville, and welcome live to Patrick's Place as we continue to stay with the results of Jamaica's 19th general elections since independence. What are you seeing, Neville, and your thoughts on what is happening so far? The changes in the seats, certainly, as I said to the viewers earlier, would be happening pretty swiftly. The results will be coming in pretty swiftly. I advise them anytime it gets to about 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 8 o'clock your time in Jamaica. What are you seeing?
Good evening, first of all, Patrick, and good evening to your viewers and listeners. As you have said, let us look at the essential seats, firstly with Terrelong and Raymond Price. That would be one of the seats that the PNP should win if they intended to be the victors in this election. Currently, that is not so. However, it does not disqualify them from winning overall. And it is left to be seen. But as I had indicated earlier, it is going to be a toss-up. Very close, probably too close to call. But later on, when some more results come in, I'll probably have a better idea as to where the winnings should go. But yeah, interesting. And as you said, the seats, the numbers are going to be changing. It has to be continuously looked at because this minute you might think it's going in one direction and then it changes.
I did say to the viewers, Neville, that you don't want to hang your hat on anything that you're hearing after 2, 3, 4, 5 boxes. I think when it now gets into the 50%, 60% of the boxes and 80 and 90% of the boxes, for example, in the seat with Alanda Terrelong for the JLP and Raymond Price of the PNP with 80 of 90 boxes counted, and Terrelong has 5,900 and Raymond Price 4,198. That is a difficult hill to climb. Just as an example.
Yeah, I think that can almost be declared. But for me, the critical would have been seats would have been those in St. Elizabeth and, of course, in Region 2. Portland, St. Mary, St. Thomas. In 2016, when the election was extremely close, that was where the result was decided between Western St. Thomas and Southeast St. Mary. Those seats seems to be running very, very close now based on the results that I'm seeing coming in. But Western St. Mary, which was looking close, I am getting on-the-ground information that it would seem that the JLP is going to win that one. Southeast St. Mary is extremely close and was the side, as I said, in 2016 along with Western St. Thomas, which the numbers are showing to be extremely close again. So even though the results might come in like at the 50%, 60%, but it will depend from me on the areas where they are coming from. So when the Region 2 seats are declared and the St. Elizabeth, then I think I can make a call.
What information do you have in terms of leads in a number of seats? Of course, if you don't have solid information, then we don't want to put false information out to the viewing public who are depending on what we're saying. So, for example, in St. Thomas Western, some results are just coming in, not results, but box counts. Neville, if you give me an opportunity, St. Thomas Western, James Robertson is ahead, 1,223 votes, ahead of Hubert Williams, 1,060 of the PNP, 26 of over 100 boxes. In Trelawney Northern, remember that Tova Hamilton was leading Wickham McNeil early, now 72 of 146 boxes, the halfway stage. McNeil of the PNP now 3,739 votes, ahead of Tova Hamilton of the JLP 3,402. So this is where, as I said, Neville, the folks can start to look when it gets to this position. You don't have to look here at 17 of 96 boxes in Trelawney Southern. Paula Patmore of the PNP, 846 votes to Marissa Dalrymple Philibert, 838. That's too early. James Southern, almost 50% of the boxes, 50 of 110. And Nikisha Burchell still holds on to a lead, but it's very tight, 2,776 ahead of Homer Davis, 2,731. You're talking about a lead of 45 votes there in St. James West Central. Andre Horton making up ground, 39 of 106 boxes, almost maybe 33% of the boxes. Marlene Malahoo, fourth of the JLP leads, 2,211 votes ahead of Andre Horton, 2,046 votes. So it's really tightening up, Neville, in some of these constituencies. St. James East Central, Edmund Bartlett should win here. 63 of 117 boxes, 3,765 votes. He's leading there. St. James Northwestern, Horace Chang also expected to win, 67 of 99 boxes. He has almost 4,000 votes ahead of Alan Bernard, 2,322. It is expected that Ed Bartlett and Horace Chang will win those two seats of the 5 in St. James. St. Anne Northwestern, we see now Gabriela Morris of the PNP, 81 of 135 boxes. So you're getting into the 50 to 60% box count range. Gabriela Morris of the PNP leads, 4,533 to Crystal Lee, 4,433. Lee was leading, approaching the halfway stage, 81 of 135 boxes there. So those are some of the counts that are coming in. Neville, your thoughts on what you're hearing?
Well, as I said, I don't have the privilege of the minute-by-minute updates. But one other thing I do know is that, especially for those rural constituencies, the box count depends on the proximity to the counting center.
One moment, Devil. I'm sorry. In St. Catherine, I'll be interrupting every now and again. I ask your indulgence. St. Catherine Northwestern, Damon Crawford leads Newton Amos, 1,823 to 1,618, 37 of 122 boxes there. Go ahead, Neville.
Yeah, I'm saying that sometimes the proximity to the counting center determines the numbers that comes in early,
correct,
and those that comes in late.
Right.
And sometimes the strength of these parties come from the deep rural, the hills, and like that. So sometimes, even when it is a 70 or 80%, the boxes that are coming from particular areas might come down with so much votes that it might change everything. So I prefer to at least probably 90% of the boxes counted, and therefore, even if the numbers in the boxes that are coming is skewed to one side, it is difficult for the results to be changed. So I am still looking and listening. I say I don't have the privilege as the minute-by-minute update, but when the numbers in terms of seats are counted, because the last time I heard officially from the EOJ was that the PNP was leading in 30 and the JLP was leading in 28, and it's still early days.
Right.
So I'm not going to make take a position just yet.
No, I'm not asking you to take a position at all. Neither am I. We're just we're going with the results as they. Right. No, we're just going with the results as they come in. In St. Andrew Eastern, 101 of 111 boxes. And it does appear that Favour Williams is likely at this stage, barring some dramatic vote count over the last 10 boxes. Favour Williams has 6,490 to Patricia Duncan Sutherland, 5,398. And I think, interestingly, if my history is correct, this was a seat held by Patricia's father, Dr. D.K. Duncan, St. Andrew Eastern, if I remember correctly. St. Andrew West Rural, Juliet Cuthbert Flynn, 97 of 140 boxes. Juliet Cuthbert Flynn of the JLP now leads the PNP's Joan Gordon Webley, and leads by about 700 votes, 5,640 to Joan Gordon Webley's. She's 700 votes behind. In West Kingston, of course, this is a bastion for the Jamaica Labour Party from the days of Edward Siaga. Desmond McKenzie will win that in a blowout, as 89% of the votes at the moment. So that's a no contest. 47 of 90 seats. He has 4,669 to Joseph Witter's 500 votes. In St. Andrew West Rural, again, Judith Cuthbert Flynn, 97 of 140 boxes, leads Joan Gordon Webley. In St. Andrew Western, George Hilton leads Corey Dunkley. George Hilton of the PNP, Anthony Hilton, that is, 3,799 votes ahead of Corey Dunkley, 2,665 in St. Andrew Western. So we're getting a broader view of the constituencies. As you made a good point, Neville, that the box counts, depending on where they are, will take some time to come in, depending on the reach. St. Andrew West Central, of course, we expect Andrew Hones to retain this seat. He's 69 of 105 boxes, and Andrew Hones has 54% of the votes, 4,081. The sitting Prime Minister ahead of Paul Buchanan, 3,400 votes. In St. Andrew East Central, Dennis Gordon of the PNP, 19 of 113 boxes, leads Davian Vassal. Dennis Gordon has 54% of the votes, 1,076. And St. Andrews South Western, again, this is a garrison constituency. This was held by the former Prime Minister Portia Simpson Miller. Angela Brown Burke leads Marine Lorne of the JLP overwhelmingly. This is the equivalent of West Kingston with Desmond McKenzie. So Angela Brown Burke expected to win there. St. Andrews Southern, the Prime Minister's, the opposition leader, Mark Golding has 94% of the vote. That seat was held by Omar Davies. He has 6,058 votes, and Carlton Allen just about 400 votes. In St. Andrews Southeastern, 88 boxes. All 88 boxes counted. Another seat declared. Julian Robinson has retained his St. Andrews Southeastern seat. So we can say 3 seats have been officially declared, 2 for the PNP and 1 for the Jamaica Labour Party. No surprises. Julian Roberts, 88 of 88 boxes in. He defeats his opponent by about 2,000 votes. And St. Andrew Eastern, Favour Williams has won her seat defeating Patricia Duncan Sutherland, and that was pretty close, 6,824 to 6,386. So Fable Williams, St. Andrew Eastern. Right, St. Andrew Eastern, she has retained her seat, Fable Williams, and so 4 seats officially declared, Neville, 2 for the PNP, 2 for the GLP. It does appear it's going to be a dogfight tonight.
Yeah, that's my expectation. But if we go back to the West Rural count, earlier on, John Gordon Webley was leading substantially, I would think.
Right.
More than 200. But then the boxes from Brandon Hill and Golden Spring would have a lot of PMP votes, I would have expected. But once you touch Stony Hill, Red Hills, Rockall, and that side, the GLP votes, Lawrence Tavern, and those are much larger and more populated areas. So in quick time, the comparisons would have changed significantly because those are much more populated areas, even though the Golden Spring, Brandon Hill area would have been to a large degree mostly PMP. But the other areas, the labor areas, carry more population than those areas. So
on the other side of St. Andrew Rural, Neville, St. Andrew East Rural, Juliet Hones, the Speaker of the House, sitting Member of Parliament, leads Patrick Peterkin 54% to 45%. So here's a huge lead. St. Andrew Northwestern, Blaine Smith leads Ethne Miller-Simpson by a huge margin, over 1,000 votes, 4,353 to 3,189, 78 of 112 boxes. Does appear that Blaine Smith is on his way to winning St. Andrew Northwestern.
So far, the seats that were strongly GLP seems to be delivering. Seats that were strongly PMP seems to be delivering. The battleground seats are still a toss-up. And as I said, that is where the election will be decided. But as we go forward, the results are going to be more fast and furious. So keeping up is going to be a challenge. But again, I'm depending on your side to pass on the results because I'm able to get it.
No, that's fine, and that's what I'm doing. We're speaking, folks. This is Patrick Anderson live on the Patrick's Place here on from Studio 62. We're bringing you the results live until the election is called, and I'm speaking. My special guest is Neville Hibbert, studied international relations at the University of the West Indies, and he is a student, I say an astute student of Jamaica's political landscape. What are some of the seats that you are keeping an eye on, Neville, that have not yet been declared? I mentioned that St. Elizabeth Southwestern, St. Elizabeth Southeastern, St. Mary Western, that those seats, and there's a mixed bag. And so this election perhaps may be a little bit unpredictable, that those 6 seats, St. Elizabeth Southwestern, Southeastern, St. Mary Western, St. Andrew East Rural, West Rural, and Eastern St. Andrew, that those 6 seats have always voted with the party that forms a government.
True. However, I have some intimate knowledge of St. Elizabeth, and especially Northwest, and I had known that they would have lost that. But
who is they? Who would have lost that?
The PNP would have lost Northwest because that's J.C. Hutchinson's traditional seat coming from Neville Lewis. So for a long time.
Oh, so that's a seat that. So just for the benefit of viewers, that's a seat that Andre Morris has been declared the winner of in St. Elizabeth Northwest, right?
And in discussion with some people on the ground in St. Elizabeth a couple of days ago, they said that even though J.C. Hutchinson was a stalwart, Morris was more like his right-hand man, and he was just as popular or even more popular than JC, so they didn't see any issue with him retaking the seat for the JLP.
Right.
The two seats that they spoke about was Southwest with Miranda and Troy Green. They think that is going to be close and it's up for a fight. And Northeast, which is a PMP stronghold, but they believe that Slowly, who is a local and has strong connections, friends and family in the seat, and they believe that he has done some critical work. They thought that he needed to get a second chance. However, the PMP, the seat is a natural PMP enclave. But I think that, based on the local support, Slowly would have given a fight. My focus, however, is always on Region 2, and some of the seats that I'm watching is Southeast St. Mary, East Portland, and Western St. Mary. I believe that those are some of the seats that are going to be close and can help to determine the outcome of the elections as to which party really governs.
For example, I see in St. Anne Southwestern, I think Xavier Main is now leading in that seat. Paul Patmore continues to lead. Marissa Dalrymple Philibert, I think that is Trelawney South. So, they not only are the results close and are coming in fast and furious, as we have been saying, Neville, but they're going back and forth. And as I correctly pointed out earlier, don't hang your hats on anything that you're hearing early, because when you get to 50%, 70%, 80% of the boxes, you'll get a true indication of how a seat is trending.
Yeah, and I think the 2016 and the 2020 results are not any strong historical base on which to make your calculations. 2016 was a shocker, and 2020 was an unusual kind of election, which nobody expected the opposition to have had any real chance. So I'm not sure we can use those numbers to do any serious calculation as to how the seats are going to go. Even though we use the data, historical data to make some gauges, but I don't think you can predict anything from the 2016-20 results accurately.
And why is that, Neville? Why would it be difficult to go through the weeds of this 2025 elections? Because you're right, it is, as the results are coming in, it's a bit dizzying.
Yeah, the data and the tradition is not holding.
I was just about to say they're colliding, right?
Yeah, it's not holding. Seats that you expect would be JLP are going PMP. Seats that sometimes you would expect to be PMP are going JLP.
Absolutely.
However, Southwest Center, that is the seat of former Gallimore, Never Gallimore. I think Glenville Shaw was the first person who won it for the PMP, and then it went back to Keith Walford, also won it for the PMP. But then, since Xavier Main has won it, he basically has rebuilt it into a JLP bastion. And interestingly, the candidate who ran for the PMP in the parish council elections in the Alexandria division has joined forces now with Xavier Main. So I think that one is going to be a little difficult for the PMP. The Marissa Dalrymple Patmore toss-up seems interesting to me, but
Marissa should win that. Marissa Dalrymple should end up winning that seat, right?
That's what I'm saying. Historically, it is her seat. But then Lyndon Frater had won that seat for the PMP, I think, once. So it probably, again, them say, it probably can change again. I don't know what is happening on the ground down there, but the PNP had won it once, so it is not impossible. But yeah, I expect Marissa to win, but the fact that he has been leading, as I say, it depends on where the boxes are coming from in the early stages now. So it is one I am looking at based on what is happening now. It was one that I had pegged as a close call. I thought the Labour would have won it, but based on how it is going now, anything is possible.
Indeed. I think the race, I think it is fair to say, has been thrown wide open at this stage. Would that be a fair assessment, or is it still too early to say, or are we at a place where things are kind of taking shape?
It is taking shape, but I am not sure of the strategies of both parties, because sometimes the seats that we think they should focus on, based on their information and their assessment of the seat, their polling of the seats and the numbers that they see and what they know are happening on the ground. Sometimes they are targeting seats that we wouldn't believe that they are targeting, and they are using strategies depending on what they know that we don't know. So, as I say, I am still not yet decisive as to how to call it. There's a lot happening, and with so much changes in technology, AI, and a lot of other things on the ground, the party's strategy sometimes is not one that we are okay with. So still waiting on a kind of last minute,
right,
to see exactly where.
Just of note, Neville, in Kingston. In central Kingston Central, the sitting member of Parliament, Donovan Williams, leads Steve McGregor by about 200 votes with 5 boxes to count. So that McGregor has closed the gap, but he might be running out of runway.
I saw like you're breaking up, but are you saying that Donovan Williams is leading in that constituency?
Donovan Williams, yes, Kingston Central is leading Steve McGregor by about 200 votes, roughly, with 5 boxes to count. And I'm saying that McGregor is making up ground, but he seems to be running out of real estate.
Yeah. If it's 5 boxes to count, then I think it's going to be difficult for McGregor to get that one. Interestingly, this afternoon I was listening to a journalist who said he was on the ground and that he was in Almantown, and the people who normally would have supported the PNP was very vociferous that they were not supporting the PNP and was open to supporting Donovan Williams, and he thought that Williams would retain the seat. So interesting. And as I said, 5 boxes to go. It would seem as that story has been carried accurately.
Right, but we still have 5 boxes to go. So let's see what happens. What we can say, it is trending towards.
Let's have a wait on the 5 boxes.
Correct. It's trending to Donovan Williams retaining that seat for the Jamaica Labour Party, which would be quite an achievement, is it not, Neville? Based on the fact that that's a seat that was held by the former late Prime Minister Michael Manley and of recent vintage, the Reverend Ronnie Thwaites.
Yeah, that's definitely. Even though Imani Duncan, who I thought was a high-profile candidate, she lost it, but there was claims of other factors. But the point is, that was one of the seats that I believe the PNP was targeting if they were to form government. So that would have been a little disappointing for them.
Mm-hmm. So the PNP is actually the two seats in St. Thomas. James Robertson is leading in St. Thomas Western in and he has been the member of parliament there for quite some time. And Ivan Shaw is leading in St. Thomas Eastern. Clarendon South Western, Lothan Cousins of the People's National Party leads Robert Chin of the Jamaica Labour Party. So the thing about it, Neville, is that we're now getting some insight. That's 96 of 100 boxes. And Cousins is leading Chin there. At Clarendon South Eastern, Pernell Charles.
You're not coming through clearly.
Are you hearing me?
I'm hearing, but not clearly. Yeah, I hear you now.
Okay, I'm saying that in the constituency just eluded me, but Cousins of the PNP, I think it's Clarendon South Western. Cousins of the PNP is leading Chin of the JLP with just about 5 boxes to go. He's really having a good lead there.
Patrick, you want to try and recall, because I don't know. I'm not sure if it is from my NRAs, but it is breaking.
All right, we'll try and get back in touch with you. Okay.
Yeah, it's breaking.
Okay. All right, so we're gonna try and reconnect with Neville Hibbert as soon as we can. You can hang up, Neville. We'll try and call you back.
Yeah, it's breaking.
All right, just hang up, Neville. I got you. Hang up. Just hang up. And we'll try and get back to him soon. So
yes,
Neville, hang up and we'll get back in touch with you. Just hang up your phone.
Hello?
Neville, hang up your phone. We will get back to you. Hang up your phone. All right, so we will be getting back in touch with him, and that's the hazards of technology at times, folks. The gremlins are there, and it is time to really kick the gremlins out. Okay, so the Jamaica Labour Party supporters seem buoyant at the moment as the results are coming in, and we'll see. 4 seats have been officially declared. 2 to the People's National Party, Peter Bunting in Manchester Southern, and Julian Robinson in St. Andrew Southeastern. And for the JLP, Andre Morris in St. Elizabeth Northwest, and Fable Williams in St. Andrew Eastern. Those are the 4 seats that have been declared. And as a matter of fact, as I look, I think some of the seats have been called. I'll get back to that in a moment. It could be 9 seats to the PNP, 9 seats to the JLP, but we will confirm that in just a moment. Let's try to get to another source here with the results really coming in fast and furious as I expected. Once it gets to this time of the night, the election expected to be called around about 10:30, 11 o'clock in Jamaica, 11:30 here on the East Coast in the US. So in St. Ann Northeastern, it is a walloping, as Matthew Samuda expected to retain that seat. St. Andrew Northeastern. In St. Ann Southeastern, Kenneth Russell is leading Aidan Peart in St. Ann Southeastern there. So those seats are St. Ann Northeastern, and Matthew Samuda is leading for the Jamaica Labour Party. St. Mary Western, Robert Montague holds the lead over Omar Woodbine there. 25 of 147 boxes counted. Montague 1,529 to Woodbine's 1,030. In St. Mary's Central, 49 of 105 boxes. Omar Newell of the PNP leads Nathaniel Morage of the JLP. So the lead folks by the parties in the various constituencies are just going back and forth. A close constituency, St. Mary's Southeastern, 33 4 of 112 boxes. Norman Dunn of the Jamaica Labour Party leads 1,987 to 1,850 ahead of Chris Brown. In Portland Western, again, that's expected to be won by Darrell Vaz. He leads 57 of 106 boxes, 3,326 ahead of Doreen Campbell. In Portland Eastern, it's pretty close there as well. 61 of 140 boxes. Isaac Buchanan leads marginally, 3,552, just ahead of Anne-Marie Vaz, 3,293. That can go either way and anyway in that constituency. So that's one to watch, 61 of 140 boxes. So just approaching the halfway stage there. And so it is really one to watch. Let's take a look at some other seat counts that might be coming in. Let's switch over to the fourth of my sources. The seat counts, folks, it's pretty interesting. It's back and forth in one seat. You get one flash, the JLP is leading. What we're seeing now, 18 seats have been declared at this point, folks. 9 for the PNP, 9 for the JLP. The JLP so far has 251,829,000 of the popular votes. The PNP is 246,604,000 of the popular votes. 50.4% for the JLP, 49.3% for the PNP. It is extremely close. So the national count, 18 seats have been declared, 9 for the JLP. With an update here, 9 for the PNP, 9 for the JLP. It is a daggers drawn. And as we get down to the final stage here with the counts coming in, it's shaping up to be much closer than a lot of folks thought based on the early August poll by Don Anderson. That indicated it was going to be pretty close. In Portland Eastern, again, 61 of 140, as we mentioned. Isaac Buchanan is trying to unseat Anne-Marie Vaz, but a good way to go. He leads by perhaps in the vicinity of 160 votes. So it's a lot of boxes to go. More than 50% of the boxes to come. Only 61 of 140. 70 is the 50% mark. So still a lot of ways to go. Manchester Northwestern, Audrey Marks, former U.S. ambassador to the United States under the JLP. Audrey Marks leads Valentin Wind, 59% of the vote to Wind's 40%, 68 of 111 boxes. Marks 5,003 votes and Wind 3,414 votes. It looks as though Audrey Marks is on her way to winning that seat. Pernell Charles is holding on to his seat, 22 of the 144 boxes counted. Charles with 1,431 votes. Shoshone Barneswell, 1,005. So the JLP, they're leading in those two seats that we just saw. 18 seats declared of the 63 folks, 9 to the PNP, 9 to the JLP, and the JLP marginally ahead in the popular vote. Manchester Northwestern, Michael Phillips is leading, 66 of 104 boxes, 4,258 votes to Damon Young, 3,661. Tricia Stewart Angus of the Jamaica Progressive Party with 20 votes. So the PNP is leading there. So you see the last 4 seats that I mentioned, the PNP leads in 2, the JLP leads in 2. It is that back and forth. It's that tight, folks. Let's take a look now at Manchester Central. This is a seat that Rhoda Crawford of the JLP is expected to win. It's pretty close, 117 boxes of 139. Donovan Mitchell has just gone ahead, 7,617 votes to Rhoda Crawford, 7,335. Crawford still the favorite to win that seat. We'll see as the boxes are coming in. In St. Andrew East Rural, the sitting member of Parliament, who is the Speaker of the House, or was the Speaker of the House, Juliet Honez is leading Patrick Peterkin, 54% to 45%. and she's on her way to retaining that seat. So it could be that the Jamaica Labour Party will win both sides of that border, West Rural and East Rural in St. Andrew. The candidates, Gillette Hones in East Rural, and another Gillette, Cuthbert Flynn, leads in West Rural. So it is getting very tight. Now we're seeing in Westwood and Central, Vaz has gone ahead of his opponent. In St. Andrew Western, Anthony Hilton has gone ahead of Corey Dunkley. In St. Andrew West Central, though, and that is expected, the sitting Member of Parliament and Prime Minister Andrew Hones is leading Paul Buchanan 51% to 48%, 4,026 to 3,800 votes. In St. Andrews Southern, it's Mark Golding, 88% of the votes. That is not expected to be a contest, 7,810 to over 1,000 votes to his opponent. St. Andrew East Central, Dennis Gordon is leading Davian Vassal marginally, 2,972 to 2,606, 57 of 113 boxes. St. Andrews Southwestern, Angela Brown-Berg expected to win on a canter with, she has 93% of the vote. So we'll see what is happening here. Both party headquarters are very buoyant. This is really a very exciting election to contest. St. Andrew North Central, Delana Seavright is ahead with 64% of the votes, ahead of Christopher Henry. Delana Seavright, 5,002 votes, and Henry, 2,833. That's 69 of 79 boxes. I think we can tick that off into the column of the Jamaica Labour Party. With 10 boxes to go, I am loath to make any kind of predictions with how the votes are going. But this one seems to be trending for Delana Seavright and the Jamaica Labour Party. Both headquarters are buoyant, and I think they perhaps should hold their horses just a bit, because I expect a few more bouncers to come. And the delivery that could pose some problems for both parties is that one outside the off stump, in the what I call the corridor of uncertainty, the one that is moving out and coming back in, or coming in and moving out, and that could present some problems. Let me just check another source here, as one has checked out in terms of what we're seeing in the count here. Oh, Kingston Western expected to be a romp for Desmond McKenzie. He has 86% of the votes, ahead of Joseph Witter. That's a seat held for years by the former and late party leader and Prime Minister Edward Siaga. Desmond McKenzie, you can perhaps tick off those two seats, the one that Delana Seavright is leading in, and there's a projection now that Desmond McKenzie will win his seat. No question about that. So let's put, at the moment, we have 19 seats declared, 10 for the JLP and 9 for the People's National Party. For St. Andrews Southwestern, I think that seat can also be projected as a win for the People's National Party. And so 20 seats, folks, 20 of the 63 seats are down, have gone down. It's a dogfight, 10 to the PNP. And 10 to the Jamaica Labour Party. Let me say hi to Verley Lewis, who has joined us from Canada. Hi, Verley. Good to have you. And for full disclosure, that is my cousin-in-law. So it's good to see you, Verley. In Clarendon Southwestern, we see Lothan Cousins, the projected winner for the People's National Party. So the projections are coming in fast and furious. 11 for the PNP, and we now, I would think that the Hones seat is going to be declared, but not as yet. So 21 seats declared, folks. The People's National Party with 11, the Jamaica Labour Party with 10. We still have a ways to go. We're really getting, I would say, to the middle of this race. If it's a derby over a mile and a half, folks, I think we have completed 6 furlongs of this race. 6 furlongs to go, and over the last 6 furlongs, anything can happen. It depends on the horses that are in front, how they hold the gallop, and it then depends on the horses who are coming from behind. Will they have enough runway to catch the horses that are in front? And it depends on what part of the race, which constituencies, because we're getting some results. We're seeing some trending results where it's a surprise for either party. In some constituencies where the PNP is leading, and some where the JLP is leading, and some where the JLP has won and the PNP has won. So that is something to watch. And I think the myth about the 6 constituencies that usually votes along with the party that forms the government, that myth might be busted. But we're still waiting to see. At the moment in St. Andrew, the Jamaica Labour Party is carrying on that one. St. Andrew Eastern, as a matter of fact. So St. Andrew, the myth there continues to hold, not a myth, that the truth there continues to hold true. Fayville Williams has won in St. Andrew Eastern. And then we see here in East Rural, Gillette Hones is leading for the Jamaica Labour Party, and in West Rural, Gillette Cuthbert Flynn is leading. So that could hold true. In St. Mary Western, Norman Dunn is leading for the Jamaica Labour Party. In St. Elizabeth Southwest, Floyd Morris, beg pardon, Floyd Green, a lot of greens. Floyd Green is leading for the Jamaica Labour Party, and could very well, that could be a declared seat. And St. Elizabeth Southeastern is an interesting one. We're waiting to see how that ball drops. So what I'm looking at here, folks, is 21 seats declared, 11 for the PNP and 10 for the Jamaica Labour Party. We still have a ways to go. That's only 21 of 63 seats. And remember, folks, it's the first. The race is to 32. The first to 32 wins the election and will form the government. Of course, if there are challenges and recounts, then that will be allowed to go through. So the results tonight are preliminary. And will be a good indicator of what the likely final result is likely to be. Westmoreland Central, Dwayne Vaz now leads George Wright, 7,547 to George Wright, 6,074. Remember, Wright was leading for a long way. That's 131 of 147 seats in Westmoreland Western. The lead here, it's only 18 of 138 boxes that we have so far. Pretty close. Garfield James of the JLP, 891 votes, and Ian Hales, 857 votes. Only 18 of 138 boxes, so that's a far way to go. That's in Westmoreland Western. So as Neville said earlier on, it depends where the boxes are, and in the rural areas, it takes a little while to get in. But the updates are coming in fast and furious now, folks, and it is the word that I am actually looking for. It is getting to be wild. In Hanover Eastern, at the moment, Andrea Perkis is leading Dave Brown. Andrea Perkis of the PNP is leading Dave Brown of the JLP. Perkis with 3,334. Dave Brown, 2,789, just about 600 votes behind. 58 of 99 boxes. In Hanover Western, the People's National Party's Heathia Miller Bennett leads with 54% of the vote. 96 of 116 boxes, 5,499 to Tamika Davis of the JLP, 4,728 earlier on. Tamika Davis was leading in Hanover Western. In Portland Eastern, Isaac Buchanan, 96 of 140 boxes. I think it's still too close to call. The sitting member of parliament trails just by 400 votes. It is Isaac Buchanan with 5,636 ahead of Anne-Marie Vaz, 5,224. Let's take a look at Portland Western. Expected, it's going the way that we expect. Darrell Vaz with 55% of the votes, 4,164 to Doreen Campbell, 3,350, 74 of 104 boxes. I just don't see Campbell having enough to peg back Darrell Vaz. It's a brave race by Doreen Campbell, but it is almost nigh impossible. 74, 26, 30 boxes to be counted. I just think that Vaz, this is Darrell Vaz, will be pulling away from Doreen Campbell. In St. Anne's Southwestern, now Xavier Main, 66 of 105 boxes. Xavier Main of the JLP, 4,426, leads Danishka Williams, 3,321. Xavier Main leads by over 1,000 votes. So that is trending towards the Jamaica Labour Party. Very interesting. The results are coming in, and as I said, the lead on one side and then the lead on the other, or it's going back and forth. It's pretty close. It's a dogfight, folks, a dogfight as we head down the stretch. I think it's 9:52. I would suggest that between now and 11 o'clock, let's say another hour, something will break and we will really get to the heart of what is happening in this election and how it will turn. St. Elizabeth Southwestern, Floyd Green is ahead there. St. Elizabeth Southeastern, Manchester Southern, well, that has been won by Peter Bunting. All 120 boxes are in. Manchester Central, Donovan Mitchell, a marginal lead ahead of Rhoda Crawford. Manchester Southwestern, Michael Phillips holds a marginal lead. Manchester Northeastern, Audrey Marks is leading there. So it's in Manchester as well. It is a pretty interesting. So at the moment, in St. Anne Northwestern, again, 93 of 135 boxes, folks. The Crystal Lee of the JLP is leading Gabriela Morris of the PNP, but they are trading leads. This is like a basketball game. And, the NBA, it doesn't matter how you're leading one team, the team that is trailing, they always make a run. And so each candidate here in St. Anne Northeastern, in St. Anne Northwestern, Crystal Lee makes a run, then Gabriela Morris of the PNP makes a run, then Lee makes a run. It's very interesting. In Trelawney Northern, Wickham McNeil leads 84 of 146 boxes with 52%. That's pretty close. Leads by just about 300 votes, 4,468, ahead of Tova Hamilton, 4,132, 84 of 146 boxes counted. I'm just trying to get a count as to the how many seats the PNP leads in, and the JLP in Trelawney Southern, though, it is the JLP that is in front with Marissa Dalrymple Philibert, 21 of 96 boxes, quite a way to go. Marissa Dalrymple Philibert leads by just under 100 votes ahead of Patmore. In St. James Southern, 79 of 110 boxes, and Nikisha Burchell still holds a marginal lead. Homer Davis is really clawing into that lead. Nikisha Burchell leads by just over 100 votes, 4,471 to 4,307. In St. James West Central, Marlene Malahoo Fort has led from the jump, from the gates were open. Marlene Malahoo Fort has led 58 of 106 boxes, 3,332 ahead of Andre Houghton, 2,921. Does Andre Houghton, is there a big count coming in for him from some division? But at the moment, Marlene Malahoo Fort is in the lead and looks good. St. James East Central, 94 of 117 boxes. Ed Bartlett expected to win this seat. St. James East Central has 5,850 votes to Rochelle Reed Knott, 3,782. Bartlett has 61% of the votes and is expected to win St. James East Central comfortably. Let's now go to St. Thomas Eastern, and here 105 of 128 boxes, and Yvonne Shaw, she has led from the off. She leads the PNP. Shaw of the PNP in St. Thomas Eastern leads. Michelle Charles, 5,982 to 5,595. That's a lead of just about approximately 400 votes. If we just round it up, and there are 18 boxes to come there. In St. Thomas Western, predictably, 163 boxes, 105 have been counted, and James Robertson expected to hold on to the seat for the JLP. If he does not, it's a big upset. He has 5,443 to Hubert Williams, 4,806, 105 of 163 boxes counted. So a lot of boxes to come. 58 boxes still left to be counted. A lot can happen, but James Robertson expected to hold on and win that seat in St. Thomas Western. So that's interesting. The parties look as though they're going to split St. Thomas, which has been the case from the days of Fenton Ferguson and St. Thomas East. In St. Catherine Southeastern, 48 of 135 boxes, and Alfred Dawes of the PNP holds a narrow lead over Robert Miller, 2,716 votes to 2,615. So Alfred Dawes leads by 100 votes ahead of Robert Miller of the Jamaica Labour Party. 48 of 135 votes counted in St. Catherine Northwestern. 83 of 122 boxes, and Damien Crawford leads Newton Amos. Crawford, 4,328 ahead of Newton Amos, 3,598 votes. So Crawford leads there by about 800 votes. 83, that's 17, so 39 boxes left to be counted in that constituency. St. Andrew East Central, and 63 of 113 boxes. Dennis Gordon holds the lead there, 3,301 votes ahead of Davian Vassal, 2,774. So it is getting interesting in St. Andrew. The Jamaica Labour Party leads in, let's see, 6 seats in St. Andrew, and the PNP leads in 3. I think the People's National Party is underperforming there. In St. Andrew East Rural, Juliet Jones leads with 4,925 ahead of Patrick Peterkin, 4,545, 77 of 137 boxes. She holds the lead of about 400 votes. So that's an interesting situation there in St. Andrew East Rural. In St. Andrew West Rural, however, Juliet Cuthbert Flynn has opened up a good lead, a lead of almost 100 votes, 900 votes, 7,152 to Joan Gordon Webley's 6,213. 124 of 140 boxes counted there. It looks as though Juliet Cuthbert Flynn is trending to win that seat. In Manchester Northeastern, 94 of 111 boxes counted. Orja Marks leads Valentin Wind, 6,472 votes ahead of Valentin Wind, 5,144. And from what I'm seeing, the JLP in Manchester, that's the only seat that they have a lead in. In Manchester Northwestern, Michael Phillips leads Damien Young of the JLP. Michael Phillips of the PNP leads Damien Young by 1,100 votes, by 1,100 votes, 83 of 104 boxes counted. So of the 5 seats in Manchester, the PNP leads in 4. Of the 5 and 3, 8 seats in St. Andrew, the JLP leads by 5. In St. Elizabeth Southeastern, and Norman Scott leads Franklin Witter, 1,004 votes to Witter's 991. That's very early, only 17 of 109 boxes. So a lot of time to go here. In St. Catherine Eastern, Denise Daly leads Dwight Peku, 118 of 120. That seat that seat should be declared for the People's National Party. Clarendon Northern, 81 of 100 boxes. A very tight battle here. The former West Indies and Jamaica cricketer Wavell Hines leads Dwight Sibley's. Hines, 4,380 votes to Sibley's 4,303. So Hines just barely holding on. Hines leads by 77 votes there In Clarendon North Central, Robert Morgan of the Jamaica Labour Party, I think, should win that seat. 85 boxes of 104. Robert Morgan has 4,527 to O.J. Dixon of the PNP, 3,406. In Clarendon, there are 6 seats. The JLP leads in 3. The PNP leads in 3. In Clarendon Southeastern, Pernod Charles has led. Pernod Charles Jr. has led from the get-go. 25 of 144 boxes. He has 1,639 votes to Sean Barneswell, 1,132 votes there. In St. Catherine Northwestern, 89 of 122 boxes. Damon Crawford, 4,608 to Newton Amos, 3,781. Crawford leads by approximately rounded up 900 votes with 22 and 11, 33 boxes to count. In St. Mary's Southeastern, 63 of 112 boxes. This is a close race. Norman Dunn of the JLP leads, 3,678 to Christopher Brown, 3,577. So that's a lead of 100 votes by Norman Dunn. In St. Mary's Central, Omar Newell of the People's National Party leads with 5,904 votes to Nathaniel Mourage, 4,343, 85 of 105 boxes. In St. Mary, 3 seats. The JLP leads in 2, the PNP leads in 1. In St. Mary Western, Robert Montague holds a sizable lead, 99 of 147 boxes. Montague with 6,341 votes to Omar Woodbine of the PNP, 5,683. So that's so Woodbine trails Montague of the JLP by about 700 votes. Kingston Central, 75 of 80 boxes we mentioned before. Donovan Williams with 4,575 votes. Steve McGregor, 4,377. McGregor is behind by, looks to be just like 195 votes, 5 boxes to count. And Donovan Williams is sitting at the catbird seat. St. Andrew Northwestern, 80 of 112 boxes. Dwayne Smith is ahead, 4,402 votes ahead of Ethne Miller Simpson, 2,093 votes. So in St. Andrew, 3 and 5, 8 seats. The JLP leads in 5 and the PNP in 3. And I think the People's National Party perhaps thought that they would have done much better in St. Andrew. So there is work to be done. Well, the work has been done. The votes have been cast. It's a question of when I say work to be done, I mean that the boxes to come in and the Electoral Commission of Jamaica to churn out the votes. But Dwayne Smith is sitting in the catbird seat here in St. Andrew Northwestern, 80 of 180 boxes of 112, and he leads quite comfortably ahead of Ethne Miller Simpson. It is the results are coming in fast and furious, folks. Let's go to another source here. At this point, I just think it's important just to give you the results as they come in. And let's see what is happening on my third source here, folks. Let's head back to and to see what's happening here in Manchester Central. Donovan Mitchell of the People's National Party holds a slight lead over Rhoda Crawford, 7,853 for Donovan Mitchell to 7,719 for Rhoda Crawford, who was favored. Rhoda Crawford of the JLP was favored to win that seat and is perhaps still favored to. The votes are being counted, so as soon as they come in, they will be apportioned to the candidates, and Rhoda Crawford, I'm sure, is counting on some other votes to come in. So that's the situation in central Manchester. The PNP's Donovan Mitchell is leading, and this is why this election is turning out to be so tighter than perhaps some expected, because where the PNP is leading, sometimes it's a surprise. Where the JLP is leading is a surprise, and then they lead where they are supposed to lead, and so it's really an interesting situation here. Again, flashing up here, Donovan Mitchell is leading Rhoda Crawford. Mitchell with 7,853 votes ahead of Rhoda Crawford, 7,719 votes. So far, 21 seats declared as I have it, 11 for the PNP, 10 for the JLP. That's 21 of 63. We have quite a ways to go, folks. And between now and 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time here in the US, I think something will break. If it continues to be this tight, then we're going to be here for some time tonight. Looking back at some of our comments, I think there is a lot of traffic on the internet tonight, and we hope that you are staying with us here on Patrick's Place, live from Studio 62, where I am describing the elections for you. In St. Elizabeth Northwestern, Andrew Morris has won that seat. We had already declared that seat. He defeated Patricia Scarlett Forrester and defeated her quite handily. So let's see what's happening here as we move to Manchester Southern. In Manchester Southern, that seat was declared earlier on. Peter Bunting has won that seat, 8,573 to Ian Ives, 7,903. That's a good effort put in by Ian Ives, Peter Bunting winning that seat. And let's go back and take a look at some other results coming in. All right, folks, again, 21 seats have been declared, 11 for the PNP, 10 for the JLP. As soon as I get an update, the last count I had, the PNP were then leading in 29 seats. And so that would leave, let's do some quick math here. 21 from 63 would leave 42 seats. And if the PNP is leading in 29 up to about 10 minutes ago, it then means that the JLP would be leading in 13 of the 42 remaining seats. So still a far way to go, and the leads are changing hands. And that is what I find so interesting is, you will be here this minute and Patrick is leading Paul. I'm just making up names, and then you come back and Paul is leading Patrick. So it is proving to be a nail biter here. I think perhaps some results are pushing in here. Let me just try and get to the decision center as we wait to get some results. Folks, it's getting pretty exciting. I don't know if you are excited as I am, being someone who really enjoys covering this stuff. Looks as though they are declaring seats. We will see at the moment. Seats that, let's see, in Trelawney Northern, Wickham McNeil is leading there. Marissa Dalrymple is leading in Trelawney Southern. In Manchester Central, that is being led by Donovan Mitchell. In St. Mary Northeastern, very, very close. And we'll get back to that as we take a look as well. In St. Anne's Southeastern, Russell is going to win that seat quite handily. So waiting to see these come up on the screen. It's a little bit difficult to see. But here are some other counts at the moment. With it appears that, but I can't get to see the constituencies. So as soon as I can get some confirmation, folks, I will let you know what is happening. It's a dogfight in the constituency with the Burchell with Nikisha Burchell and Homer Davis. That constituency is an absolute dogfight. Edmund Bartlett is expected to win St. James East Central, Portland Eastern. Isaac Buchanan is leading there. St. Thomas Eastern, that is being led by Shaw ahead of Charles. And in Western St. Thomas, that is being led by James Robertson ahead of Hubert Williams. So those are the latest results that are coming in, and they're coming in fast and furious. Just having a little bit of difficulty deciphering the results here. It's approaching that time when we're expecting the leads to be changing hands and decisions to be made in terms of these seats. They will be called by the Electoral Commission of Jamaica, but it's extremely close at the moment, folks. Very, very close. So we will take a look at what is happening. Everyone is trying to gather the data. St. Andrew Northwestern, Dwayne Smith, 87 of 112 boxes, continues to lead Ethne Miller Simpson there by over 1,200 votes. Dwayne Smith with the 4,792 votes to Ethne Miller Simpson of the People's National Party, 3,558. The Jamaica Labour Party they're doing extremely well in the parish of St. Andrew. They're leading in 5 of 9 seats, and they're leading in 6 to the People's National Party's 3. They're leading in 3. So that's really a big backbreaker for the People's National Party, with the Jamaica Labour Party really doing extremely well in St. Andrew Northwestern. So 108 of 108, Richard Azan has won his seat. So Richard Azan in Clarendon Northwestern has won his seat pretty close, 6,989 votes. Warren Newby gave him a run. Warren Newby, a very respectable candidate, 6,490, losing by about 500 votes there. And that means the People's National Party now has 12 seats by my count, and the GLP 10, but the GLP are leading in 6 seats in the parish of St. Andrew. In Westmoreland Eastern, Dayton Campbell leads Daniel Morris, 121 of 123 boxes. In Westmoreland Central, 169 of 170 boxes. And Dwayne Vaz is trending ahead of George Wright in Westmoreland. The parties are trading seats in Western Jamaica. How the West goes, the general election goes, and the parties are trading seats in Western Jamaica. And so we would get a look at really what is happening there. Westmoreland Western, 108 of 138 seats. And Ian Hales leads Garfield James, 57% of the votes to 42% for James, 6,454 to 4,820 votes for Ian Hales. In St. Anne Southwestern, Xavier Main has really opened up a gap on Danishka Williams, 73 of 105 boxes counted. So we have 32 boxes to go, and Xavier Main should win the seat. 5,069 votes to Danishka Williams, 3,869. St. Anne Northwestern, again, this was a race that was trading leads, 125 of 135 boxes. I don't know if one can call this close. Crystal Lee of the Jamaica Labour Party leads with 7,346 votes ahead of Gabrielle Morris, 6,924. And so that's a lead of about 400 votes for Crystal Lee with 10 boxes to go. So that's a little bit of nip and tuck, but you have to give the edge to Crystal Lee. If I were in this race, I would want to be where Crystal Lee is. Leads by 400 votes with 10 boxes to count. So that's a race to watch. And it's the race to 32 seats, folks. The first to 32 wins the general elections. And at the moment, unless there is something that's happening that I'm not seeing, the 22 seats declared, the People's National Party has won 12, the Jamaica Labour Party 10, but right now you could perhaps add 6 seats from St. Andrew to the GLP's tally that would put them at 16, and those 6 seats look irreversible at this stage. It looks that it doesn't appear that the PNP could peg them back in those 6 seats that I saw in St. Andrew, West Rural, East Rural, among the seats that are really barreling away from the People's National Party in St. Andrew. We look at some other results as they come in. 22 seats declared, by my count, 12 to the PNP, 10 to the GLP, but the GLP might as well to let you know that the GLP perhaps has maybe 16 seats at the moment. Clarendon Northwestern, Zan has won. Clarendon Northern, we see a very tight race there with the Wavell Hines leading. Clarendon North Central, Robert Morgan should be winning that seat. Clarendon Central, Delroy Williams is way ahead of Carla Watt. Clarendon Southwestern, Lothan Cousins is ahead of Robert Chin. Lothan Cousins of the PNP. Clarendon Southeastern, Pernod Charles Jr. should be winning that seat ahead of Sean Barnes-Rhodes. And Catherine Northwestern, that's Damon Crawford is leading Newton Amos in that seat. And Catherine Southwestern, and the Kurt Wall has fallen behind his opponents. And Catherine Southern, going at a fast clip here. St. Catherine Central and Olivia Babs-Grange should win that seat. So that's another seat that I'm putting in the JP's column. I'm not quite sure why that is not called. 12 to the JLP, to the PNP, 11 to the JLP. St. Elizabeth Southwestern, 106 to 113. And Floyd Green should win that seat. He has 54% of the votes, 9,044 to Miranda Wellington, 7,650. Floyd Green should win St. Elizabeth Southwestern. That's a bellwether seat, and that's a seat that usually votes along with a party that forms the government. Clarendon Southeastern, 27 of 144. Pernod Charles Jr. is ahead of Sean Barnesville. The count is very slow from Clarendon Southeastern, very slow, but it is trending towards a Pernod Charles Jr. Clarendon Northern, 95 of 100 boxes. A tight race here between Wavell Hines and Dwight Sibley's, with Hines leading by 200 votes ahead of Dwight Sibley's. So 5 boxes to go. We will see how that turns out. 5,623, St. Thomas Eastern. And it's still a tight race, 114 of 128 boxes. And Yvonne Shaw is leading Michelle Charles. Yvonne Shaw of the People's National Party, 6,597 votes to Michelle Charles's 6,188. Shaw holds a 400 vote lead. In St. Thomas Western, the opposite is true. James Robertson expected to hold on to the seat, 6,836 votes to Hubert Williams, 5,696. So James Robertson leads by 1,200 votes. 125 of 163 boxes, and Robert should be pulling further and further away. St. Thomas West Central. St. Thomas West Central, 87 of 105 boxes, and Paul Buchanan of the People's National Party, 4,867, with a lead over the incumbent Member of Parliament and the Prime Minister, Andrew Holness, 4,762. Only 87 boxes counted of 105, folks. And maybe the boxes from the Honus division not yet in. He should win that seat. Manchester Northeastern. Audra Marks, former U.S. ambassador to the United States, is leading 6,582 ahead of the PNP's Valence and Wind, 5,207. So Audra Marks, I think 95 of 111 boxes, Audra Marks is pointing to win that seat, and it could be the only seat won in the parish of Manchester by the Jamaica Labour Party. St. Andrew West Central. Again, they've gone back to that 87 boxes of 105. That's 13 and 5, 18 boxes to count. And I suspect that of those 18 boxes, a lot of them will be going in the JLP column. Paul Buchanan of the PNP leads Andrew Honez. That is a seat to watch. But as I said, I suspect that of the boxes to come, they will be in Andrew Honez's column. Early days in St. Elizabeth Southeastern, Norman Scott is leading Franklin Witter by just about less than 100 votes. In Portland Eastern, it's pretty tight, 96 of 140 boxes. Isaac Buchanan leads with 5,636 votes ahead of Anne-Marie Vaz, 5,224. That's a gap of about 400 votes. 96, 44 boxes left to be counted. So a lot can happen in Portland Eastern. Anne-Marie's husband, Darrell Vaz, is leading in Portland Western, and she's trailing in Eastern. Trelawney Northern, Tova Hamilton is back in front, 123 of 146 boxes. She leads with 6,826 votes ahead of Wicca McNeil, 6,792 votes. It's a razor's edge there, folks. That is probably about a 90-vote lead. In Trelawney Southern, it's trending towards Marissa Dalrymple Filbert, 26 of 96 boxes, very early, but she has 55% of the votes. 1,787 counted so far to Paul Patmore, 1,486 at Mary Southeastern. And Norma Dunn is putting on the pressure on Christopher Brown, 92 of 112 boxes, 5,232 votes for Norman Dunn, 5,112 votes for Christopher Brown. He's behind by about 100 votes. Roughly speaking, folks, that's pretty tight. St. Mary Western. And Robert Montague should win that seat, 115 of 147 boxes counted. Montague, 7,212 votes to Omar Woodbine, 6,398. Montague with 53% of the votes and seemingly cruising to victory here ahead of Omar Woodbine in St. Mary Western. The JLP doing well in St. Mary. They're leading in 2 of the 3 seats. In St. Andrew East Central, 106 of the 113 boxes, and Dennis Gordon of the PNP leads with 6,425. He's now pulling away from Davian Vassell, 3,949. That should be in the column of the People's National Party at this stage. St. Andrew West Rural, and Julian Cuthbert Flynn is really turning on the afterburners with 4 boxes to count. Juliet Cuthbert Flynn has 7,909 votes ahead of Joan Gordon Webley, 6,994. So Juliet Cuthbert Flynn is leading by about 1,000 votes. The same in St. Andrew Northwestern. Dwayne Smith has about 1,200, make that a 1,500 vote lead over Ethelyn Miller Simpson of the PNP. The JLP's Dwayne Smith is leading and doing pretty well there with just about 11 boxes to count. You should take that off at the column of the JLP. In St. Andrew East Rural, also 127 of 130, 123 of 137, just 14 boxes to count. And Juliet Honez should win this seat, 8,445 votes to Patrick Peterkin, 7,487. The sitting member of parliament should be returned to Gordon House. Just 14 boxes to be counted. In Portland Eastern, 131 of 140 boxes. And Anne-Marie Vaz has reduced the lead to 300 votes. Isaac Buchanan, 7,932 votes, ahead of Anne-Marie Vaz, 7,699. So Isaac Buchanan leads by about 250 votes. It's very, very close. Not the same in Portland Western with 2 boxes to go, 104 of 102 of 104, and Darrell Vaz has 6,022 votes ahead of Doreen Campbell, 4,809. Put that in the column of the Jamaica Labour Party. St. James Central, we have Heroy Clark leading Janice Allen. Heroy Clark of the Jamaica Labour Party, 6,486 votes ahead of Janice Allen, 4,620. One box to count. Put that St. James Central seat in the column of the Jamaica Labour Party. St. James Southern, 109 of 110 boxes, one box to go. And this is razor thin, folks. Lakeisha Burchell of the PNP leads the sitting member of Parliament, Homer Davis, 6,398 to 6,211. Homer Davis trails by 180 votes with one box to count. So things are really churning through, folks. In St. Elizabeth Southwestern, well, that box can safely be that seat can safely be declared for Floyd Green, retaining his seat in St. Elizabeth Southwestern. 108 of 113 boxes counted. Green, 9,278 votes. He has 54% of the votes and cruising along to returning to Gordon House. But trying to get a picture of the overall seat count at the moment. In Trelawney Northern, Tovo Hamilton has 7,005 votes, and Wickham McNeil 7,043. Wickham McNeil is leading by 38 votes. It is absolutely razor thin, folks. Tova Hamilton, the neophyte, is giving the veteran Wickham McNeil a run for his money. That's in Trelawney Northern. And in Trelawney Southern, Marissa Dalrymple Filbert is leading and is expected to defeat Paul Patmore in that constituency. At the moment, she has 54.6% of the votes, and Paul Patmore 45.4% of the votes. That's in Trelawney Southern. So the Jamaica Labour Party could claim both seats in Trelawney. We wait as the counts continue to come in. And let's go back and take a look at another of my source as the seat count is coming in. I'm trying to, it's a little bit challenging to be on air at the same time tabulating the seats. So we are trying to get that for you as soon as we get some development in terms of the seat count, because either it's pretty close or one of them has begun to break away, but that's not what I'm seeing. It is very, very, very close in the election here, much closer than I thought, I must admit, at this stage. So we are approaching that time, folks. It's 10:29. And as I said, I'm really looking for something to happen. I'm looking for something to break around about 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. That's U.S. time. But it could be at about 10:30. So maybe it could be another hour or so before the picture starts to settle. Remember, it's 63 seats in Parliament, folks. Gordon House, the first to 32 wins the election, and of course, all results tonight will be preliminary. So we are waiting on the count as they come in from the from the Electoral Commission of Jamaica. So far, I have the PNP with the 12 seats and the JLP with 11. Some other seats have been declared. That this will change. For example, in St. Andrew, I see 6 seats going to the JLP. So at the moment, I'm looking at it as 17 seats with the JLP and 12 for the People's National Party. It is going to be extremely, extremely tight, folks. Very tight. And so perhaps the party that wins the election could do so with maybe 34 seats or 35. Remember, 32 is what you want to win to break the threshold to form the government. So we are looking for that at the moment. I think the seat count at the moment is, I'm getting some information here, 17 to 15, I think, in favor of the Jamaica Labour Party. But I'm waiting on I don't want to give out erroneous information. I prefer to go slow like the tortoise with the correct information. But as I said, I had 11 seats declared for the GLP. They were leading in 6 seats. That seems irreversible. And so I have added those 6 seats to the GLP. I have it at 17 to 12 with the JLP in front. Let's take a look at what else is happening here. We're getting another, well, we expected that Evan Shaw would have won St. Thomas Eastern and Isaac Buchanan. So 2 more seats in the PNP's column to 14. I think I have the JLP at 17. So Evan Shaw has won in St. Thomas Eastern ahead of Michelle Charles, and Isaac Buchanan has won ahead of Anne-Marie Vaz in Portland Eastern. So Portland has been split with Darrell Vaz winning in Portland West. I have no doubt that he will win in Portland West. And so that's perhaps a seat that maybe it's 18-14 in favor of the Jamaica Labour Party. I'm not quite sure if that is embedded in the 17 seat count at the moment for the Jamaica Labour Party. The numbers are being crunched. And at this point, Evan Shaw is beyond recall, as they say in horse racing, better than 3 lengths in front with a couple of jumps to the wire. You won't be able to peg back a well-oiled machine who is going at full blast at the front end. So Evan Shaw wins for the PNP in St. Thomas Eastern. Isaac Buchanan wins in Portland, in Portland Eastern ahead of Anne-Marie Vaz. But I think a boatload of seats are going to go for the Jamaica Labour Party from St. Andrew. And those will be coming in fast and furious. The last count I saw in Andrew Holnes's constituency, he was trailing Paul Buchanan with not a lot of boxes to come. But as I said, I suspect that the boxes to come are from divisions that are dominated by the JLP. And so you could see Andrew winning in the end and holding off Paul Buchanan. Two more declarations. And so it is 17. I have it 17-15, beg pardon, 17-14 in favor of the Jamaica Labour Party. They hold the lead and they're heading towards 32. And now we are seeing Nikisha Burchell is being projected to win the St. James Southern seat ahead of Homer Davis of the Jamaica Labour Party. That's a surprise, I would think. And so it's now 17 seats for the Jamaica Labour Party and 15 for the People's National Party. So the JLP still in front in the seat count. St. James Southern, Homer Davis got 49.1% of the votes, and Nikisha Burchell 50.7%. She garnered 6,483 votes to Homer Davis, 200 votes less. And Hanover Western, it looks as though Heather, there's another declaration here for the People's National Party in Hanover Western. Heather Miller Bennett looks as though she has defeated Tamika Davis, 6,458 votes to Tamika Davis, 5,781. Both seats in Hanover were trending towards the People's National Party. And in Hanover Eastern, Andrea Perkis is leading Dave Brown there, 5,494 votes to Andrea Perkis, Hanover Eastern, and Dave Brown, 4,668. So we will see how those two Hanover seats, they look as though they are trending towards the People's National Party, which would pull the PNP into a tie at the moment. If those are projected for the PNP, 17 seats for the PNP, 17 seats for the JLP. And folks, this is a dogfight. It is much, much closer than we would have thought. So 34 of the 63 seats declared, and that means there are 29 seats to come. And we will be getting what's happening. Westmoreland Central, Dwayne Vaz is leading George Wallace. In Westmoreland Eastern, Dayton Campbell is leading Daniel Lawrence of the Jamaica Labour Party. Those two Westmoreland seats, People's National Party is in front. So it is, in fact, getting tight. It is, in fact, getting tight, folks. And I'm very much interested in the seat held by the Prime Minister. But like I said, I am not worried. I think the boxes, the 15 or so boxes that are outstanding, will be coming from divisions that the Jamaica Labour Party are strong in. Portland Eastern, Isaac Buchanan, 8,290 votes, and Marie Vaz, 8,072 votes. So Buchanan has maintained his almost 200 vote lead. It had been in the 200, 300, 400 range, folks. So he has won that seat at the moment. What I have is that I could be wrong, as I wait to get some confirmation, is a 17-17 tie at the moment with seats won and declared. And that's 34, 29 seats to come. It is very, very close going, folks. So the next hour and a half will be critical. It's going to be critical, folks. And the Westmoreland seats, Dwayne Vaz and Dr. Dayton Campbell of the PNP, they are leading in those seats. 139 of 140 boxes. And it looks as though Isaac Buchanan will take home that seat. In Manchester Central, Rhoda Crawford, 9,035 seats, 138 of 139 boxes. As I said, she was the favorite, and she's now in front again, 9,035 votes to Donovan Mitchell, 8,861. So this could be a second seat in Manchester for the Jamaica Labour Party. Rhoda Crawford was always the favorite to win this seat. Donovan Mitchell really gave her a run for her money. So he is behind by, let's see, 39 and 35. He sits behind by just 74 votes with one box to come. I don't think he can overcome that. In Manchester Northeastern, as we said, 106 of 111 boxes. Audrey Marks way in front, 56% of the vote, 7,652 to Valentin Wynn, 6,029. She will win. So that's two seats that we see so far. 87 of 105 boxes, 13 and 5, 13 and 5. That's 18 boxes to come. And Paul Buchanan holds a lead of 100 votes ahead of Andrew Hones. Now, that will be the shock of the night, but I keep telling you that is unlikely to happen. Now, Trelawney Northern, it is just going back and forth between Tova Hamilton of the JLP and Wickham McNeil of the PNP. 131, 146 boxes. Now, Tova Hamilton has 7,408 votes, just ahead of Wickham McNeil. In St. James Southern, Nikisha Burchell, 110 of 110. She has defeated Homer Davis, as we mentioned before, 6,483 votes to 6,276 votes. Nikisha Burchell, the unofficial winner, the preliminary winner of that seat. St. James West Central, 71 of 106 boxes. I would want to think that Marlene Malahoo Fort should win. She has 53% of the votes based on 71 boxes out of 106. Barring some monumental shift of votes coming in, she should win there. 4,193 votes, and she is all clear. St. Thomas Western, again, that's a cruising victory for James Robertson, 138 of 163 seats. He has 7,471 votes. to Hubert Williams, 6,479. James Robertson was always going to win St. Thomas Western. So it's interesting. We'd just love to get a confirmation of the seat counts and see if it coincides with what I have. St. Catharines Southeastern, Alfred Dawes, 129 of 139 seats. Alfred Dawes has 7,405 votes to Robert Miller, 6,939, just about 500 votes behind the JLP's candidate, Robert Miller. Alfred Dawes of the People's National Party is ahead with let's see, 6 boxes to count. 6 boxes to count. So that race remains very, very close. So St. Mary Southeastern, what we're seeing here now, folks, a little bit of a surprise. 109 of 112 boxes counted, and this would be a monumental upset. Maybe not a monumental, but a big upset. Christopher Brown of the People's National Party is leading Norman Dunn in St. Mary Western, 129 of 147 seats. Robert Montague should win this seat. Perhaps it can be declared now or projected 8,182 seats ahead of Omar Woodbine, 7,402 of the People's National Party. Just trying to get to the total seat count at the moment. St. Anne Northwestern, 127 of 135 seats. This race is still close, but Crystal Lee kind of edging away now, 7,428. I enjoyed this particular race in St. Anne Northwestern. Gabriela Morris made a race of it, but Crystal Lee seems to be taking hold. St. Anne Southwestern, Xavier Main has taken care of this seat. He's leading by 1,400 votes, 81 of 105 boxes. I can't see anything changing with 19 and 5, 24 boxes to come. Denishka Williams will not be able to overcome 1,200 votes. It's just not possible. So that's a projected seat there for Xavier Main. Kingston Central, folks, 80 of 80. Wow. Steve McGregor of the People's National Party has won with 4,739 votes, just getting the better of Donovan Williams, 4,727. So Steve McGregor defeats Donovan Williams preliminarily by 12 votes. That, I'm sure, is going to be recounted. If you remember, Luther Buchanan lost his seat in Westfield by 11 votes in the last election. That's an upset, folks. That is an upset. I expected Donovan Williams to have retained the Kingston Central seat. Clarendon Southeastern, Pernod Charles will be cruising to victory there. 94 of 144 boxes. Pernod Charles Jr. will win that seat. That seat is as far as I'm concerned, is not an issue. Clarendon Northern, 95 of 100. So they have not progressed from that. 5 boxes to go. And Wavell Hines has 5,623 votes. He's projected to win with 5 boxes to go. He leads by over 200 votes. Pretty close. 5 boxes to go, folks. Unless those 5 boxes do not contain 200 votes, the projection here is for Wavell Hines to win in Clarendon Northern, and that's another seat added for the People's National Party. But I'm interested to see the seat count, folks. At the moment, it's the PNP with 23 seats and the JLP with 21. That's the count from the Electoral Commission on Jamaica, folks. 23 seats to the People's National Party and 21 to the Jamaica Labour Party. I see that the party that wins this election tonight will win with a 34 or 35 seat count. It's pretty close. Manchester Northwestern, Michael Phillips, 99 of 104 boxes, will win this seat. He has 55% of the votes. 6,687 votes ahead of Damian Young, 5,516. St. Catharines Southwestern, Everett Warmington has now pulled away from Kurt Wall and has retained his seat, 146 of 147. So the votes came in the end. He was trailing for most of the night, but the votes came in from his stronghold areas. 10,551 votes at the moment, 146 of 147 to Kurt Wall's 8,444. So Kurt Wall really put up a good show, but he just couldn't defeat the old wily fox, Everett Warmington. That's another seat to the Jamaica Labour Party, but I think that is captured in the 21 that they have at the moment and the 23 for the People's National Party. It's the first to 32, folks. It is razor tight. I'm getting some comments from the viewers that are staying with me that it is so close. To be honest, it is closer than I thought. I actually thought that the party that wins would have won with a minimum of 37 seats and a maximum of 29. And as the night is going along, it is looking that whichever party wins, the PNP or the JLP, is going to be in the vicinity of 34, 35 seats. That's what I'm seeing. It is razor thin, folks. It's exceptionally tight. So let's see what happens as we get down to the business end of this decision. It's very, very close, folks. So I think a lot of folks right now are in their stomachs are in knots, but just take it easy. It's just an election, and we should be proud. One of the things that I really wanted to say, which I didn't get to say at the start of the broadcast, is that Jamaica should be really proud of our democracy. We voted for the first time as a nation after universal adult suffrage in 1944. This is our 19th general election since independence in August of 1962. And the four before that, in 44, 49, 55, and 59, in 44, 49, 53, and 57 or thereabouts, those four elections before 19 and 4, 23 elections. And we have never not had an election, and so we are very, very proud. St. James Central, Harold Clark would have won that for the Jamaica Labour Party. St. James Northwestern, Horace Chang would have won that, and I think St. James Central, for Edmund Bartlett. But what I was saying is that the elections won both by the People's National Party and the Jamaica Labour Party over the 23 cycles, well, the 22 cycles. This is the 23rd election. It's not yet decided. And Edmund Bartlett will defeat Russell Reed Nutt in St. James East Central. He is ahead by close to 3,000 votes. I think we ought to be, I still think we ought to be very, very proud of our democracy. Our democracy is in good health, even in those dark days of the 1980s when over 800, 900 persons were killed due to political violence. We have not seen those days. And even then, the turnout for the election in 1980, the largest turnout in history, 86.91%. Just believe that. And so Jamaica's democracy is in a safe place. No matter what is happening, the people, the turnout is not what I would like, but the construct of our democracy, that our government is decided by free and fair elections. Jamaica has some of the best and free and fair elections in the Western Hemisphere, folks. You better believe that. And that was due to electoral reform in the 1980s. That was the reason why the People's National Party did not participate in the 1983 general election, the snap election called by the late Prime Minister Edward Seaga just after the attempted coup in Grenada and the U.S. invasion of Grenada. The Jamaica Labour Party-led government at the time participated in sending forces from Jamaica, and so arising out of that, the JLP and the Siaga, they were buoyed by the turn of events, and they won. They called a snap election. The PNP said, whoa, we had agreed that we would not have an election until we have electoral reform. They boycotted. The electoral reform took hold, and then the general election was held in 1989. So even with those hiccups, folks, our democracy, I dare say, is in very, very safe hands. I am extremely proud of Jamaica's democracy. There is no threat to our democracy that I see on the horizon. It would have to pop up internally or externally as a surprise, or democracy is safe. Let's go back and try and see if we can get some more information in terms of seat counts and where we are at, because folks, as I tell you, we're getting down to the nitty gritty, folks. I did promise you that we would be getting some clarity roundabout. We would be getting some clarity roundabout 11 o'clock, 11:30 our time, and we are getting there. At the moment. The seat count is 23 for the PNP, 21 for the Jamaica Labour Party, and at this juncture, I am predicting that the party that wins will win with a majority of about 34. So maybe a 4 or 5 seat majority, whichever way the cards fall over the next hour or two. But it is extremely, extremely close going at this stage. The result in Kingston Central was a massive surprise to me. Donovan Williams, I thought, would have won that seat on a romp, and that he would have even held the challenge of Steve McGregor. But as it turned out, both divisions, the Almond Town division and the Raytown division, the votes were clearly evenly split. And in the end, he won by 12 votes. That there's going to be a recount, not to worry. There will be a recount, and we'll see how it goes. Now in St. Mary Southeastern, 1 box to go, and Norman Dunn has inched back in front, 6,592 votes to Christopher Brown, 6,575. So Brown trails by 75 from 92. That looks to be trails by 17 votes with 1 box to go. 1 box to go, folks, in St. Mary Southeastern. That is razor sharp close. It's too close to call. 1 box to go, and the JLP's Norman Dunn leads by 17 votes. In Manchester Central, 138 of 139 boxes. It's pretty close now. It's pretty clear now that Rhoda Crawford will win. I did say from the outset, although it is going back and forth, that she was the clear favorite to win. That's 1 of 2 seats. 1 in Manchester Central. It could be 3. I need to confirm that. So congratulations to Rhoda Crawford of the Jamaica Labour Party. I love to see the young people come forward and do their thing. Clarendon Southeastern was never an issue. 120 of 144 boxes, and Pernell Charles Jr. is cruising in front by just about 900 votes or so. Make that 800 votes. He leads by 800 votes, 7,617 to Sean Barneswell's 6,832 with 24 boxes to go. But Pernell Charles Jr. is going to be an easy winner there. So it's tight going, folks. Just waiting to see. And here, 141 of 146 boxes in Trelawney Northern, and Tova Hamilton is digging in, folks. She's digging in 7,894 votes to Wickham McNeil's 7,746 votes. So he trails by 150 votes with 5 boxes to count. Maybe a little bit difficult to peg back. Now we see Franklin Witter really taking charge in St. Elizabeth Southeastern. St. Elizabeth Southeastern, and Franklin Witter is ahead by over 2,000 votes ahead of Norman Scott, Franklin Witter of the Jamaica Labour Party. So with 94 of 109 boxes and a lead of over 2,000 votes, you can put that in the column of the Jamaica Labour Party. So too, St. Andrew East Rural, 129 of 137. Judith Jones should win this seat, will win this seat, leads by 800 votes, 8,617 to Patrick Peterkin's 7,865. Those two seats will go into the column of the Jamaica Labour Party. So, folks, it is close. St. James West Central with Marlene Malla, who fought, was always going to win this seat. It's 80 boxes of 106 that have been counted, and she leads by 600 votes over Andre Houghton. St. Anne Southwestern and Xavier Main has taken charge of this seat, 86 of 105 boxes, 19 boxes to count, and he leads by 2,600 votes. St. Anne Northwestern, 133 of 135. Crystal Lee of the Jamaica Labour Party is ahead of Gabriela Morris. I don't think Morris can come back here. 7,971 votes for Crystal Lee of the JLP, and Gabriela Morris about 200 votes behind. 111 boxes of 112 in St. Mary's Southeastern, folks. Norman Dunn, 6,592 votes. Christopher Brown, 6,575 votes. Christopher Brown is 17 votes behind with one box to go. And interestingly, the independent Mark Hutchinson of the Jamaica Progressive Party has 26 votes. Brown trails by 17. So Mark Hutchinson is a spoiler here. In either direction, one box to go. It can go either way, depending on which division it's coming from. If it's a JLP stronghold, then Norman Dunn is home and dry. If it's coming from a PNP area, then it's going to be extremely tight. Trelawney Southern, 28 of 96 boxes. I think that Marissa Dalrymple should win this seat, 1,700 votes to Paul Patmore's 1,400 votes. I'm not quite sure why that seat, the vote count is coming in so slow, but this is a rural seat, and perhaps the boxes are taking some time to come to the fore. Marissa Dalrymple Filbert, 1,787 votes to Paul Patmore, 1,486. 23 of 96 boxes. A far way to go, but Paul Patmore has a far way to go to catch Dalrymple. Franklin Witter really showering some pressure on Norman Scott. He's by over 2,100 votes. St. Elizabeth Southeastern, so he will win in St. Elizabeth Southeastern. Floyd Green will win in St. Elizabeth Southwestern. St. Mary Western is up for grabs with one box to go. And St. Andrew East Rural, West Rural, won by the Jamaica Labour Party. Eastern St. Andrew, won by the Jamaica Labour Party. So we'll see how those 6 seats affect the overall flow of the election. St. Anne Southwestern, as I said, Xavier Main is 1,600 votes ahead and should win. St. Mary Western, that seat has been won by Robert Montague, 147 of 147 boxes, as we knew that Robert Montague would have won that seat. We'll be getting the seat count in just a moment, folks, as a couple of seats, box counts have been closed, and the seat counts will be coming in just a moment. 147 of 147. Robert Montague has won St. Mary Western. Now, this is interesting, folks, because the 6 seats that I mentioned at the start of this broadcast that have voted for the party that forms a government, all of these 6 seats have gone to the Jamaica Labour Party. Floyd Morris in St. Elizabeth Southwest in Southeast, that's gone to the Jamaica Labour Party. In St. Mary Western, that's Robert Montague. In St. Andrew East Rural, Judith Jones will win that seat. In West Rural, that will be won, I think, by Judith Cuthbert Flynn. And Eastern St. Andrew, that has been won by Fable Williams. So it's going to be interesting. It is extremely, extremely close, folks. We are waiting on the final seat counts. Both headquarters are pretty buoyant at this stage, as this election comes down to a knife's edge, folks, as we will see. Just waiting on the seat count. That'll be coming in just a moment, folks, as we come to that. Hanover Western has been won by Heath Miller Bennett. As we mentioned before, the People's National Party has swept the two seats in Hanover. The Westmoreland seat is the Westmoreland seats are trending towards the People's National Party. At least I know they're leading in 2 of 3. The seats in St. Elizabeth, the Jamaica Labour Party has done very well in St. Elizabeth and Manchester. Beg pardon, in St. Elizabeth and St. James. The PNP has done well in Hanover and in Westmoreland. And then we're back with the St. Andrew West Central seat, 87 of 105 boxes. Paul Buchanan of the People's National Party leads Andrew Hones, but I just see Andrew Hones winning perhaps by about 200-300 votes when all those boxes are counted. Bernard Charles Jr., I think that can be projected for him, 140 of 144 boxes, 9,207 votes to Sean Barneswell, 7,770. That's another seat for the Jamaica Labour Party. So it's interesting to see what the seat count is. It's awfully close. The last seat count I had was the PNP 23 and the Jamaica Labour Party 21. It's the first to 32, folks. St. Thomas Western, 160 of 163 boxes, and James Robertson can be declared the winner, 9,118 to Hubert Williams, 7,559. James Robertson winning with 54% of the votes in St. Thomas Western. There's no question with 3 boxes to go that he cannot be overcome. St. Elizabeth Northeastern. St. Elizabeth Northeastern is an interesting place here. St. Elizabeth Northeastern, and Zaluka Jess is of the PNP is ahead of Delroy Slowly. Jess actually has been projected as the winner of that seat. So Delroy Slowly has been defeated. Delroy Slowly has been defeated in the St. Elizabeth Northeastern seat, with Zarika Jess of the People's National Party coming out on top. 124 of 125 boxes, 1 to go, 8,283 to Slowly's 7,693. He will not be able to find 600 votes to overcome Zaluka Jess in St. Elizabeth Northeastern. She will be getting some votes from that final box as well. So some surprises here and there, folks. It is absolutely crazy. 145, folks, of 146 boxes. And now it looks as though Tova Hamilton will defeat Wickham McNeil. Tova Hamilton of the JLP has 8,062 votes to Wickham McNeil, 7,788 votes. That's 250 votes or 260 votes behind McNeil is with 1 box to go. It is going to be a victory for Tova Hamilton in Trelawney Northern. 145 of 146 boxes. It is going to be very, very close. This is a really interesting seat. Trelawney Northern, and Wickham McNeil, such a veteran of the People's National Party over the years. He has given yeoman service to that party, has been a minister of government, and I think this could be his last hurrah. 1 box to go. He is trailing Tova Hamilton by close to 250 votes. So let's see what's happening here. Let's go down and see what's happening in our other source here. They are really trying to hammer out what's happening. This election, folks, has everybody on their stomachs in knots. It is razor close, folks. I did not expect it to be this close. 37 seats. I expected the party to win with 37 seats. That was what I predicted. At worst 37 and at best 39. And it's not looking like it's going to get there. Whichever party wins and forms the government. So let's see. Andrew Jones is under pressure in St. Andrew, in his St. Andrew constituency, but there are a number of boxes to come there that I think are going to fall, that I think will break in favor of the Jamaica Labour Party's leader, Andrew Jones. Let's see what's happening here. Trying to get some results here. I see you, Tristan. Thanks for joining. I see you, Tristan. It is razor close, folks. And now Tova Hamilton has been projected as the winner in Trelawney Northern. So the Jamaica Labour Party, I forecast, will take both seats in Trelawney, because Marissa Dalrymple Philibert will win Trelawney South. But it is extremely close, folks. Let's just wait and see what's going to happen here. It's very, very close. I'm waiting on the seat count in St. Andrew East Rural. I expect Juliet Jones to win that seat. She has 53%. She has been projected 130 of 137 boxes. That was never in doubt. And so too, the other Juliet Cuthbert Flynn will win in St. Andrew West Rural. So we'll see what happens. Thank you for joining, Tristan. Thank you for joining, Trissy. But this is really, really close. Of course, James Robertson projected to win in St. Thomas Western, St. Andrew West Central. Well, they're still having at 87 boxes, so we still have 18 boxes to go. And Paul Buchanan leads Andrew Jones. Again, I repeat, I would be shocked if Andrew doesn't find the votes, that the boxes that are to come are not coming from stronghold areas. And Tristan, you're cracking me up, that the votes that are coming in for St. Andrew West Central. St. Andrew West Central is turning out to be a real humdinger, featuring Paul Buchanan of the People's National Party and the Prime Minister, Andrew Jones, who trails with 14 boxes to go. St. Mary Southeastern, 1 box to go. And Norman Dunn of the People's National Party is ahead by 17 votes, yes, with 1 box to go. And Mark Hutchinson of the Independent Jamaica Progressive League has 26 votes. So he's playing spoiler here, but then those votes could have gone to Norman Dunn. 1 box to go in St. Mary's Southeastern, and that is a humdinger of a seat, St. Mary's Southeastern. Perhaps it might turn out to be the closest seat of all the 63 seats tonight. St. Mary's Southeastern is certainly one for your notebook. St. Mary Southeastern with Dunn and Christopher Brown. St. Elizabeth Southeastern, again, that's Franklin Witter, will win that seat and win easily. 94 of 109 seats. That's was always in the column for the Jamaica Labour Party. Just trying to get the seat count, folks. That's what I'm trying to get to give to you. The last seat count I have, the PNP was leading the JLP by 2 seats, 23 to 21. And that was quite some time ago. I did say at about 11 o'clock we would get there. It's now 10 minutes after 11 Eastern Standard Time. I may have to push it back to 12 o'clock because this election, folks, is extremely close. 82 of 106 boxes in St. James West Central. And Marlene Malahoo Fort, the Minister of Legal Reform, leads Andre Horton by 600 votes. She has 53% of the votes, 4,788 to 4,192 for Andre Horton. 82 of 106 boxes. That has not been updated for quite some time. Trelawney Southern, as I said, I expect Marissa Dalrymple to win. St. James East Central, Edmund Bartlett already projected as a winner there. St. James Northwestern, Horace Chang already projected to win there. So the parties are really trading seats in Western Jamaica. Heroy Clark has defeated Janice Allen. Heroy Clark of the Jamaica Labour Party has defeated Janice Allen of the People's National Party. So, folks, I think we should be getting some seat counts in short order. And hopefully we can be getting those. It's really a nail biter for this election, folks. I really didn't think that it would be this close. The younger voters, I have a question here in the feed. The young voters didn't really participate in this election. They didn't really participate in this election. And waiting on the seat count as the seats are coming in fast and furious, folks. The election is on a knife's edge, folks. Extremely close at this stage. At the headquarters of the Jamaica Labour Party, they're buoyant, they're celebrating. It's a somber mood at the People's National Party headquarters. And as the seat counts come in, it really we've seen an avalanche of seats being won by the Jamaica Labour Party. So just waiting on the seat counts. I think they're putting them together. It could be that the Jamaica Labour Party has eked out a very close win in this election. It's extremely close, folks. As I try to get some information here, trying to reach out to my sources as I am anchored here in this chair. Let's take a look at where we are. As I said, I know a lot of seats have come in for the Jamaica Labour Party, particularly from St. Andrew, and they are trading seats out west. They are trading seats out west, folks. So just waiting to get some information here, because the trend and the winds are shifting over the last half an hour or so. I think we're getting down now to where the decisions are going to be made. Getting down to 11:30 or so. Clarendon Northern, I think that seat has been won by Wavell Hines of the People's National Party ahead of Dwight Sibley's 5,541. But that's a seat that has been projected for Wavell Hines for quite some time. I think we need to get the information on some other outstanding seats and to get the count. That's 97 out of 100 boxes. It looks as though he's leading by just over 200 votes. So let's see what happens with 3 boxes to go there. But I think that Wavell Hines has been projected the winner of Clarendon Northern. This this is extremely tight, folks. Extremely tight. Going to be looking to get some seat counts now. All right. We're trying to get some information here and get some to pass on to you folks. At the moment, the seat count is the Jamaica Labour Party 29, the People's National Party 28. So that is the seat count at the moment, folks. The JLP 29, the PNP 28, and that's 57 seats. So 6 seats to go. 6 seats to go, folks, and the Jamaica Labour Party is in front, 29 to 28. They need 3 more seats to win. The People's National Party, they need 4 more seats to win. So let's see how it turns out, folks. It's getting pretty close. And now St. Mary's Southeastern, it looks as though Christopher Brown of the PNP has pulled out a win here. 6,642 ahead of Norman Dunn, 6,631. Christopher Brown wins by 11 votes. So another seat that has gone to the People's National Party there makes it 29-29. I'm sure that there will be a recount, just as I'm sure there will be a recount in Kingston Central, the seat won by Steve McGregor over Donovan Williams. McGregor won by 11 votes there, and Christopher Brown wins by 11 votes here in St. Mary's Southeastern. So now, folks, it's 29-29. Folks, this is incredibly close. Each party, they need 3 seats. 3 seats, the first to 32. And the leader of the Jamaica Labour Party, with 13 and 5, 18 boxes to go, is trailing by over 100 votes. But again, let me repeat again, I strongly suspect that those votes coming in will push Andrew Hones across the mark. Andrew Hones will go across the mark in his seat. This is on a knife edge, folks. To be honest and to be frank, I did not expect the election to be this close. I really expected it to be the party to win 37, and I predicted that it would be 37 at worst and 39 at best. 44 of 96 boxes counted in Trelawney Southern. I just think that Marissa Dalrymple Philibert will win that seat. Paul Patmore is now 200 votes behind, well over half of the boxes to count, but Marissa Dalrymple Philibert should win that seat. It's 29-29, folks. And let's see. It is extremely close, folks. I'm just trying to see at the moment. I see the seat count 29-28, but I don't think they have added Chris Brown's seat to the tally. So it's 29-29 at the moment. I think the election is now, it's 11:20. We should be getting the result in another 20 minutes to half an hour, I would think, no later than midnight Eastern Standard Time, because the election is now in the home stretch. It is in the home straight, folks. In horse racing terms, perhaps just about a furlong and a half to go. Extremely tight election. We have 29, 29. That makes it 58 seats, is it? 29, 29. That's 58 seats. 5 seats remain. 5 seats remain. So let's see how these seats are going. 5 seats to go, folks. And it's tied at 29, 29. I have to take a drink of water here. It is extremely tight. Both parties need 3, and both parties are on 29. So both parties need 3 seats to win. It is extremely, extremely close, folks. 29, 29. 5 seats undecided. And that's 58, 63, 5 seats to go. And we are tied at 29, 29. Wow. The People's National Party, they need 3 seats to win the election. The Jamaica Labour Party, they need 3 seats to win the election. It's the first to 32, folks. Remember, it's 63 seats. 31 and 31 and 62. So you need 32 seats. The first to 32 wins the election. It could not have been closer. It could not have been more befitting. I think this election is as close as the one in 2007. I think the initial count was 31, 29 or something like that. And then there was a recount that pushed it to 32, 28 when Bruce Golding led the Jamaica Labour Party to victory. So let's see. 29, 29. And let's see how this pans out. The Jamaica Labour Party now has 30 seats, folks. It's now 30 to the JLP and 29 for the PNP. $30 to the JLP. As a matter of fact, it's 31 now to the JLP, 29 to the PNP, 1 more seat to the JLP, and they will win the general elections for 2025. At the moment, the seat count shows 31 seats for the Jamaica Labour Party and 29 seats for the People's National Party. So the Jamaica Labour Party, they just need 1 more seat to win, and it perhaps will be befitting if the leader, Andrew Jones, brings them across the line. They need 1 more seat, the Jamaica Labour Party, to win this election. Crystal Lee wins St. Ann Northwestern for the JLP ahead of Gabriela Morris, 8,050 ahead of 7,488. It's 31 to the JLP, 29 to the PNP, and it does appear that the Jamaica Labour Party will be returned to power for a 3rd term. But we're just waiting for the official word to come. 1 more seat to be declared for the JLP will do the trick and end it for tonight. 31 seats to the JLP. I did say that around about 11:30 we would get the final reckoning here. 31 to the JLP and 29 to the People's National Party. So we're just looking for that 1 other seat, and it should come unless Marissa Dalrymple's seat is counted among the 31 in terms of projections. I'm looking for the other seat now for the Jamaica Labour Party. $31, $29 for the JLP. They need 1 more seat to form the next government. Looking to be returned for a 3rd time. And This would be a record for the Jamaica Labour Party. They have never, ever been elected to 3 consecutive terms in Jamaica's political history. "31 seats to the Jamaica Labour Party, 29 to the People's National Party." I'm just waiting for the final push over the top, the party that will get to 32, and that's it's trending towards the Jamaica Labour Party. They would score a fascinating victory in this election, folks. It is one of the electoral victories that will be spoken about for quite some time. And at the winds of his back, I think the people, it's not yet been called, but it's trending towards the Jamaica Labour Party. The voter turnout was pretty low. And this is something that we have spoken about. It didn't crack 40. And as I've been pointing out, that the low turnout favored the incumbent. The People's National Party needed a high turnout, which did not happen. And I kept saying it in my earlier podcast, on and on again, that the election will turn on the turnout, and it did. So it's going to be a real case study to find out why the public didn't turn out. Audrey Marks has won her seat as expected in Manchester. I think it's Manchester Northeast. It is certainly a telling turn of events. Heroy Clark won his seat in St. James, defeating Janice Allen. Marlene Mallow, who fourth, won her seat. And we're seeing Dave Brown in Hanover Eastern lost his seat, and Tamika Davis. So the PNP swept the seats in Hanover. I think where the election really turned, folks, the election turned in St. James and in St. Andrew. The Jamaica Labour Party, the Jamaica Labour Party swept a lot of seats in St. Andrew and in St. James. And I think that is where they really put it. And at the moment, it is 30 seats for the People's National Party, 33 for the Jamaica Labour Party. The Jamaica Labour Party have won the elections with 33 seats. I am seeing the Electoral Commission of Jamaica, 30 seats for the Jamaica, 33 seats for the Jamaica Labour Party, 30 seats for the People's National Party. The Jamaica Labour Party has been elected to a 3rd consecutive term. Fascinating elections here. And again, as I said, the big difference was in St. Andrew. The Jamaica Labour Party carried 6 seats. And in St. James, I think they won 5 or 6 of the seats in St. James. The PNP was expected to do well in St. James. They did not. Also in St. Elizabeth, the Jamaica Labour Party did very well in St. Elizabeth. And so that is what it is. That how the West goes, elections go in Jamaica. I had predicted a 37 at worst for the People's National Party to win. But as it turned out, and as I said, the elections would have turned on the turnout. The PNP needed a high turnout. They did not get it. The Jamaica Labour Party got a low turnout. And as a matter of fact, as we're seeing, it's not really called as yet. The GLP is leading in a number of seats. So we're still kind of waiting on the final results here. I might have just gotten ahead of my skis, but it is trending towards the GLP winning this election. I think the seats, and it turns out quite rightly that the 6 seats that I mentioned at the start, these 6 seats have always voted for the party that forms a government. And the Jamaica Labour Party won St. Elizabeth Southwest, if you remember, I told you about, St. Elizabeth Southeast. They won St. Mary Western. They won St. Andrew East Rural. They won St. Andrew West Rural and St. Andrew Eastern. Those 6 seats have always voted for the party that forms a government, and decision 2025 was no different. So the Jamaica Labour Party will form the government for the 3rd consecutive time. It's the first time that the Jamaica Labour Party will be winning 3 consecutive terms. Of course, the People's National Party had served 4 terms in office from 1989 through to 2007. Michael Manley won in 89, PJ won in 93, PJ won in 97, PJ won in 2002. So the PNP served 4 terms, and then Bruce Golding won in 2007. Alfred Dawes has won a seat. We're seeing a number of seats that have been called, but it is, congratulations to the Jamaica Labour Party for pulling this off. It was an extraordinarily tight race. It turned out to be pretty tight, and you could see the trend. Once it got to 9:30, and the Jamaica Labour Party pulled it out. It is a remarkable win by them, and you really have to congratulate the Jamaica Labour Party for pulling out this victory here tonight. The 19th general elections, and as I predicted, now 93 boxes of 105, and Andrew Hones is way out front, 5,387 to Paul Buchanan, 4,904. I just had no doubt that Andrew Hones would have won the St. Andrew West Central seat. So there is a 5 and 7 more, 5 and 7, 12 more boxes to come. But at this rate, he's now surged ahead by 400 votes. It is, I don't think it's going to be possible. As I said, I think the votes in Andrew's constituency are coming from his strongholds, those areas that will push him over the top. Trelawney Southern, again, Marissa Dalrymple, Filbert will win. And now we have it. The Jamaica Labour Party has 32 seats officially to the PNP's 29. That's what I'm seeing here. The JLP 32, they're first to 32, the PNP 29. And so the Jamaica Labour Party will form the next government in Jamaica. It looks like about 2 more seats to be decided. So it could be 34 to 29. A remarkable election, folks, with the Jamaica Labour Party pulling it out. It'll be interesting to get your feedback, but it is certainly fascinating. The Jamaica Labour Party has won the election. Everybody are seemingly calm. I'm not quite sure if they are not aware at the Jamaica Labour Party headquarters that they have won, and that's Juliet Hones, the wife of the Prime Minister Andrew Hones. Perhaps they're just realizing that he has won. So there it is, folks, at the Jamaica Labour Party headquarters. I think it is going to be extremely somber at the People's National Party headquarters. And so it is, as we sign off here from the live coverage. I'm very happy to have brought the results to you from this election. And the first to 32, the Jamaica Labour Party will form the government for the third consecutive time. It's congratulations to them. A remarkable result here. It looks as though they're going to win 34 seats to the PNP's 29. But more to come, and we will revisit this. Thank you very much, and good night.